Welcome back to Friends by Film. I am one of the hosts here, Daniel Polidoro.
And I'm Tyler Pacholski.
Today we'll be talking Mandalorian, Season 2, Chapter 16, The Rescue, the season finale. Tyler, what were your non-spoiler reaction to this initially?
All right, so I'm just going to provide some context. But, well, first and foremost, wow. I really enjoyed it. I had an idea that we were going to be experiencing something that I wanted to make sure that I saw before it got spoiled or alluded to on social media. So woke up early in the morning to watch it. Was not let down.
Yeah, dude. Same here. I think I woke up actually a little earlier than my alarm. I set my alarm for like 3:05 a.m.
Your body
and
was prepared and just waiting,
oh
man.
my God,
Wake
dude.
up!
Yesterday was just dedicated Mandalorian. I mean, I've watched the
Mhm.
episode 3 times now. I'm gonna watch it a fourth after this, after we record here. Just blown away. I mean, they gave us what we wanted. So
I
now do you want
totally
to
agree,
go? Should
man.
we
I
go in the
totally
spoilers?
agree.
Should we go right in the spoilers? Spoiler warning.
Yeah, so we're assuming that most of you guys who are checking this out have probably seen the episode. We'll talk about little story bits in here and there, but yeah, man, let's just get right into it, man. Gosh, where do you want to start, Daniel?
Well, I mean, this episode like holds no punches. They go right into it at the beginning, going after Dr. Pershing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, we're going right into it. This is crazy. And then the recruitment of Bo-Katan, I thought that was really nice. That was a really fun play between Boba Fett and her assistant. I forgot her name. I know it's Sasha Banks from from the WWE. But I mean, I just the whole episode, the pacing is so great. Peyton Reed did a great job of directing this episode. Jon Favreau did a great job writing this episode. It's action packed, and it definitely is worth a rewatch. Like I said off air, the third rewatch for me that was most rewarding. I checked on all the action, emotion aside, because we get really. I got really emotional at the end. I don't know. I mean, how
Yeah,
did you
dude.
feel
So, uh,
initially?
so, so no, the ending for me. I've seen the final sequence probably 4 times. Now I've seen the episode in its entirety twice. But yeah, no, that last sequence definitely gets me emotional. We'll get there too. Um, I also want to just say that I think Peyton Reed did an incredible job in regards to pacing, composition, especially the last sequence leading up to the final unveiling, and we'll get to
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Just seeing those little tidbits, just those little teases that we as an audience, any of us who are familiar with Star Wars, especially things related to the original trilogy, we
Oh
catch on
yeah.
things. We see a black glove, we see the X-wing, the lone X-wing. Yeah, I was completely satisfied.
When that X-Wing showed up, were you like Luke right away? I mean, I said it out loud.
Oh, dude, I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, like I'm still tired, and I'm like, okay, I'm definitely enthralled. I'm engrossed into what's going on. When I see that lone X-wing, I was like, no freaking way, man! I can't believe you're doing this. And then I started asking myself the question, what's he going to look like? Is it going to be a digital de-aged Mark Hamill? Is it going to be a new actor? There was that also element of anticipation, like, okay, oh my gosh, Luke. Whoa! What if it's not Luke? No, it's got to be Luke. So I was experiencing all of that during that entire unfolding. So yeah.
I was like, I hope it's not one of the X-Wing people we saw earlier in the season.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Um.
But the idea of having the cloak on, the Jedi cloak on for the majority of the action, I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Absolutely. And I felt it was brilliant to continue to let that linger. I know that there's a lot of people talking about comparing that particular sequence to its antithesis in Rogue One at the finale, where we see Luke's father, Darth Vader, mowing down some
Right.
rebel people on that ship. So I thought it was fantastic. I mean, how satisfied were you to know that it was Luke Skywalker, this guy? Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker.
I was on board 100%. I story-wise, it made sense that he would sense exactly the green saber. Story-wise, this made sense. Luke would sense Grogu. He's, the most powerful Jedi at this time. And he's out there looking for Jedi relics and such. It makes total sense story-wise. And
Absolutely.
I mean, I just thought it was just fantastic. I couldn't believe it either. I was overwhelmed. I was just like, this is really happening.
Yeah. And I know we're spending a lot of time talking about this particular sequence. One of the things that I also thought was just incredibly touching was when just the final exchange between, well, when I say final, for the purposes of this season finale, the final exchange between Grogu and Din Djarin. That was incredibly touching, and I started recognizing myself getting teared up, and I think there was also a component of the music. The music cue changed, something more, I don't know how to explain it, but just something a little bit more sobering, something more intimate. It reminded me of callbacks to things like E.T., Spielberg, Jaws, the exchange between Brody and his son. Just those intimate moments, like that was very powerful. And also
it had the John Williams feel to it.
Oh yeah, it was just it's great stuff, man.
Yeah, I that moment there, that was Luke was there, but Luke is a side character. So I mean, I would argue against people that say that Luke dominated the episode. He dominated his moment, but he's part of a bigger picture that is the Mandalorian and is Din Djarin saying goodbye to Grogu.
Yeah, no, I felt that his particular moment didn't trump what happened prior to that, especially with the confrontation between Din Djarin and Moff Gideon. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I knew Moff was messing with him when he's like, you can have him, sure.
Yeah, I thought to myself too, I was like, there's no way in hell he's gonna just let him go away like that.
that was a great battle though. I really liked that. I thought, Din was like flipping the staff around and I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
And you can see.
I started thinking to myself that we were going to see something like that because earlier in the episode, Bo-Katan mentions that up against the Darksaber, there's only something like pure Beskar that could potentially, or not potentially, but be able to withstand it. So I thought to myself, okay, this is definitely setting up for what I'm hoping for as a battle. And it didn't fall short of what I hoped for.
And there was also foreshadowing too in the Jedi chapter.
Exactly. Pure Beskar.
Exactly. I mean, now we know Moff Gideon does not have Force capabilities.
No, he doesn't. And he definitely brings into some more of the exposition regarding the Darksaber and that confrontation that I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, what's that going to look like regarding Bo-Katan and Din Djarin?
I think that sets up a plot line for season 3. Going to Mandalore and settling what, who rules Mandalore? What does Mandalore look like? Things of that nature.
What is the future of the Mandalorian like? Yeah. All of us are wondering, not only like narratively, but just in general in terms of what that culture looks like going forward.
Right. And Din was willing to give it up. He was like, I have it, take it. I only want the child.
Here you go, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about, and I thought was incredible acting on behalf of Katie Sackhoff, who's playing Bo-Katan, was, and I watched actually episode 7, the penultimate episode prior to this. My fiance, she hadn't seen it yet. And I will say I have a more of an appreciation for episode 7. More so. My rating last time, I think, was a little bit more critical than maybe I normally go, but I actually appreciate it a little bit more. I felt to myself, Din Djarin's evolution as a character is honestly, at this point in time, complete. I think that he has a really well constructed character arc where we see him as this rogue, scruffy, type of individual who's somewhat one-dimensional, just there to take care of himself. We see him now come full circle where he's more selfless. He has a mission, a desire. There's a connection, there's relationship. And we see him finally just, hey, listen, I'm taking this mask off. And I don't care who's seeing this at this point in time. We saw some of that in episode 7, but we see that. And Bo-Katan is one of the people that actually says, hey, you're a part of this group, and like, you don't have to do this anymore. It's more of a progressiveness. And so when I see him saying, hey, here you go, and Moff Gideon trying to play into that and trying to create a rift, I kind of wonder if deep down inside, Bo-Katan is like also evolving too, almost inspired by Din Djarin's evolution as a person and that progressivism. I kind of wonder if Bo-Katan is maybe going to start to recognize, you know what? We don't have to fight. I'm going to just accept it for what it is. And I'm not saying this is what's going to happen or what I necessarily want to happen. I mean, I'd be okay with that. But I'm also kind of seeing, you know, that potentially play in as well. You know, what does being a Mandalorian now, you know? Can we make change? Can we progress into a more civil society, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely see the progression of Din Djarin throughout the whole first 2 seasons. I mean, he's set in his ways. Then this child comes along and changes his life essentially over the
Absolutely.
course of 2 seasons, and he becomes more open-minded or progressive, as you say. Yeah, I can definitely see that, and he's influenced by the people he meets along the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Bo-Katan, she's very grumpy at the beginning of this episode. She's like, "You'll never find him," you know. So I feel like there's a little grudge between her and Moff that we don't know about yet. Like if
Absolutely.
Moff might have went on to Mandalore and sort of mocked her out of her power of having the Darksaber, and somehow stole it from her, or battled
Absolutely.
her. But Moff is definitely playing games with Bo-Katan.
What were your thoughts on Moff Gideon's sudden, like without any hesitation, just attempt to kill himself? What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, he saw a Jedi. He's like, I'm screwed. Yeah, up to that moment, up to that moment, he felt in control. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'm going to play mind games now. Then when Luke shows up, oh, it's a wrap. You know, I have to keep every secret I have inside my brain. I need to just terminate myself, you know, essentially,
And I
like we've
wonder if
seen
Moff Gideon
in
is
past.
aware of who that is too. If you think about it, you know, taking into consideration the context of where we are in the galaxy at this point in time, I think we're roughly 5-6 years post Return of the Jedi. So I'm kind of curious to know if Moff Gideon's like, oh shit, I know who that is. That is Luke, you know, Skywalker. So
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he knows exactly who it is, but he knows it's the Jedi, and he has no chance.
absolutely.
Neither do his troopers. What did you think about
Oh
the
my
troopers
gosh, what were your
now?
thoughts on the
Through the
implementation of the Dark Troopers?
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I I think it helped bring context to the Tython episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it took them a while to get down there. Like we mentioned, why didn't they just send the Dark Troopers? Well, they have to warm up. They have to energize. You know, essentially, and it was total Terminator. It was awesome. I
It
loved it.
was I love the mechanical movements. Yeah, it's incredible. And I actually liked what Dr. Pershing had to say when he was providing that exposition about this is a 3rd generation Dark Trooper. And we had to refine, you know, one of the weaker elements, which was the human being. I was like, wow. I mean, that's pretty science fiction-esque. I mean, it is, but it was really
Dr.
cool. I
Pershing,
liked it.
man. Dr. Pershing, I feel like he's very influenced by Blade Runner. He has the glasses from Blade Runner, you
Absolutely.
know, and that line too is like, we're trying to get rid of the human aspect, like replicants almost, or
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool. Cool science fiction.
Yeah.
What happens to
Now,
him? I mean, what happened to him after the episode? Did they just
well, I
kind of
was
drop
joking
him
with one
off
of my
and leave
brothers
him?
about that. He's just sitting on that Lambda shuttle, just kind of like, you know, clasping his hands, clapping, waiting. I don't know. I was thinking he was just sitting on that shuttle, just waiting.
Did they leave him behind though? On that, in that bar where Bo-Katan was?
No, if I'm not mistaken, they were on the ship together.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again, and I do plan on rewatching this
Yeah.
episode. I think, and we haven't gotten to this question yet, but this is definitely one of the best episodes of the not only this season but just the series in general.
Yeah, it is.
One of my brothers
Definitely.
mentioned that it has a lot of incredible opening doors implications for the rest of the Star Wars universe, at least during this time period. And I'm thoroughly pleased. We can get into some of the minor issues I've had. I think
Sure,
one
yeah.
thing to take into consideration is the CGI. It wasn't perfect. It definitely felt stilted.
You're talking about the
I
Mark
was,
Hamill Luke?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I felt to myself like when I watched it took me out of it for a moment. But what really helped me was recognize that, and I think this is the incredible, quality of writing that we have from Jon Favreau and his understanding of this period of time, this type of Luke Skywalker that we have. This is the Luke I've been wanting to see for a long time, and I know that my brothers have been wanting to see for a long time too. And I would also like to say, a lot of fans, say what you want about The Last Jedi. We can go on about it, here or in a different episode, but this was a Luke Skywalker that was consistent with where we last saw him. The essence of Luke was perfectly captured by Jon Favreau in his writing and Peyton Reed in his direction and Mark Hamill in his performance.
Yeah, I don't think he was on set, but I feel like they used his voice for sure. And I think that's what sold me on the look of Luke, like the voice. If it was like a different voice, I feel like it wouldn't have sold me as much. And I was cool with the CGI. I was just so overcome with what we just saw. Luke essentially
And R2D2, man,
going crazy. Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't even think about it.
I didn't think about it either. I was like, oh my gosh, R2D2, man.
Yeah.
And seeing R2D2 interact with Grogu, almost as if he's like recognizing, like, hey, I've seen you before. Like, we don't know what that conversation was like or what that interaction was like, but it was so pure. It was so lively. It was so full of hope. And that's something that this particular capper of this season and where we're at right now just left me with not only hope for, like, oh, great, but just hope for the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, R2D2 got his due because he didn't really get much action in the sequel trilogy at all.
No, he definitely didn't, and it was so good to see that played out.
Where do you think we're going to see Grogu in season 3?
We do see Din Djarin as he's saying his pretty much goodbye for the moment. That I'll make sure to see you again. We shall see each other. Whether we see him appear in season 3, I'm not certain as to how that's going to play out. I think Grogu is at this point in time going to be with Luke Skywalker, and so I don't know how much of Luke we're going to see in season 3. I do hope we do see him. I hope we see maybe a segue episode. I'm very much curious to know just where the direction is for season 3. And also, surprisingly, seeing that there is a spinoff coming out of that.
Yeah. There was rumor of a Boba Fett sequel trilogy or a series, but is that going to be season 3 of Mandalorian, or is that going to be its own thing?
So I've heard some conflicting reports. One of the podcasters that I do follow, Andy Signore, Popcorn Planet, I guess he was debunking that it was going to be part of season 3, that it was going to be its own thing. So I think I haven't gone further into it, but I was thinking to myself initially, like, wow, maybe season 3 is called The Book of Boba Fett. But I don't know per se. I'm hearing conflicting things. I'm hearing that we're going to get a spinoff series, limited miniseries called The Book of Boba Fett. And then we're also going to get season 3 of Mandalorian following Din Djarin's story. I'm okay if Din Djarin's story ends to some extent and he's a part of the other TV shows like Rangers of the New Republic or Ahsoka. I wouldn't mind that. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I'm not certain, man. What are your thoughts?
I think they're going to be separate. I think they're going to air around the same time. I think they might interchange. Boba Fett's going to be controlling the underworld, and he's going to have to go against Cobb Vanth on Tatooine, because remember, Timothy Oliphant's out there as the marshal. And so that'll be an interesting showdown.
I hope they're not antagonistic to each other. I would love to see Cobb Vanth be a part of. I want to see more Cobb Vanth. I think Timothy Oliphant did an incredible job playing that character. Who's to fault? I mean, Boba Fett, he could hold a big grudge, but if Cobb Vanth were to provide some context, I wonder if Boba Fett would soften his heart and be like, "Hey, I don't blame you, man. I get it."
I think they're gonna battle each other.
They're gonna butt heads, man.
I think Boba Fett's he's gonna be the leader of the underworld and do his thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how that unfolds. And for those of you, I mean, what were your thoughts on just how that end post-credit scene played out? I was like, oh my gosh, we see the twin suns. So I think to myself, Tatooine, camera pans left, Jabba's palace. I was like, what is happening right
Dude, I
now?
turned it off. I turned.
Oh, you did?
I didn't know about it. I went and then I got on Twitter in bed at like I don't know 3:45, and I was like post credit. So I rushed out and I watched it. So,
Oh my gosh, man.
I had no
Something told
idea.
me inside, I was like, we're not seeing any concept art. So this is very interesting. This is different from what I'm used to. So I'm just going to hang out for just a little longer. So something told me, just hold on. And man, so we see, I would say a lot more overweight Bib Fortuna. What were your thoughts on seeing him?
It makes sense. Anybody that sits on that throne gets fat. You know. Now, I've been hearing people calling Boba the Hutt now. You know, I've heard that term going around, a name going around.
Boba the Hutt, man. Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a separate series. I'm thinking it might be like hopefully a mini series. I can't really see it going more than one season.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the same thing too, and I'm sure Lucasfilm will probably come out with a statement sometime next week. Give it just a few more days, or at least the weekend, for other people to see the show who haven't been spoiled yet. So I hope that they can clarify that. But I'm super excited, man. I was already excited with where Star Wars was heading, in terms of some of the projects that are unfolding. Some projects I'm less likely to really kind of care about,
Right.
but I'm super excited. This is a great time to be a Star Wars fan.
It definitely
And
is.
yeah, I mean, overall impressions. I mean, did you have any faults with the episode? Anything for you, Daniel?
No, I really didn't. I mean, no, it just keeps getting better. Like I third watch, I was like, man, this was the best viewing. I was able to put emotion aside and really look at the action and it's some of it's really graphic. I mean the
Oh, especially the violence.
yeah, that's
My
what I mean. I
fiance, she
was like,
mentioned that my fiance said when we were watching it last night, she goes, "Wow, it's getting a little bit more violent," and it does. The opening sequence with the two Imperial officers taking Dr. Pershing to wherever they were, and Cara
Cara
Dune just
Dune.
owning one like right in the face. I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" Like that was
It gets me
incredible.
excited for Rangers of the Republic. You know, I'm curious to see where that goes. Will that tie into the Boba Fett thing too? Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. I think overall for me, this is one of the best episodes, not only of the season but of the series. So for me, just kind of getting to my overall,
Yeah, yeah,
wrapping up my thoughts on this, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
yep.
It wasn't
I'm with you. I'm with you.
it
10 out of 10.
aside from some of the wonky CGI that took me out a little bit. I'm expecting that. Aside from maybe some little bits and pieces of some acting, overall, what I liked was the essence of Star Wars. I felt just livened up in this episode. It was everything that I wanted, everything that I hoped for. I was on the edge of my seat. Pacing was great. Storytelling was incredible. And I'm super excited and hopeful for the rest of where we're heading in this time period.
Yeah, I mean, it left me in tears at the end. You know, with Din taking the helmet off and Grogu touching his face. Whew. You know,
Absolutely, man.
it was just perfect. I would say it's up there with me with the Jedi. I really like that episode too, but I would say that the rescue is the best episode of the season.
Absolutely. So I know we talked about this off camera, but top 3 episodes for me. Number 1, for me, it's the rescue. Number 2 is the Marshal, and number 3 is the Jedi. Now, the Marshal and the Jedi are pretty much similar, but I think the rescue, is a little bit higher just because of everything it does in regards to wrapping up some storylines. It brought some finality. I'm so glad they didn't end on a cliffhanger. When I watched this
Yeah.
episode, I'm like, oh my gosh, perfect. I'm just so much curious to see, okay, what's the story of Din Djarin now? What is the story? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would flip. I'm going 1, the rescue, 1, 2, the Jedi, 3, the Marshal. But those are 3 brilliant episodes.
Absolutely. And that's not to poo-poo on the other episodes. This season is an incredible season as well. We'll definitely have to converse at some other point in time as to maybe our comparisons of the seasons. But overall, great
Hey, we could
episode.
do a top 16 someday if you want.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. So, but yeah. So, what are your guys' thoughts? What did you like the rescue? Did you not like the rescue? What are you hoping for? Let us know in the comments below and engage with us. Danny, where can they find you?
They can find me at Poly Pictures on Twitter and on YouTube. And
Awesome.
Tyler said, like, subscribe below, and let us know. Also, our Facebook page is live and going pretty strong here. We're approaching 200 likes. It's
Woo!
Friends by Film. And Tyler, I believe we had a shout out from last episode.
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank Brandon Poland. Thank you for your comment. He's a pretty good friend of mine. Just wanted to say I appreciate your commentary and your feedback on the character of Mayfield. Like I said, I did watch episode 7, and he's growing on me. So I'm looking forward to seeing how his character might be incorporated in future episodes. But thanks again for your feedback. Always appreciate your feedback, and for everyone else, let us know what your thoughts are. Everybody's got an opinion, and at the end of the day, we just love film. We love Star Wars. So yeah, let
Absolutely.
us know what your thoughts are. We appreciate every
Absolutely.
bit of it.
Thank you, guys. Stay tuned. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you, man. Take care.